Make sure you don't grab the one with the bourbon in it.
How would I? It's over there.
All right. What is going on, Haunt Nation? I'm Ant.
I am your stand-in.
Also a T, but not the T. This is Tori T. You don't have to be a stand-in. If you're here more often during haunt season, you can be a regular participant.
But for now, I'm the stand-in.
Well, I mean, not for nothing. For the most part, and this isn't a shot at you, T. Not that I think you're going to watch this. I'm regularly doing these on my own because T has not been able to make, for a myriad reason, has not been able to make a lot of the haunts for the last couple of years, for the last several seasons. When he does, and he is available, we do shoot the videos together. We did go to these two haunts together. However, he had to work the next day. It was late at night by the time we were done with everything, so we had no time to really shoot the videos, and it would have been like a really short parking lot video. Anyway, and the conditions were not ideal, pretty dark in the parking lot. That said, I'm regularly doing these by myself, which then I wind up doing them like 4 or 5 times because I forget shit, and then I go back and forth, and then I don't like it, and then I fucking delete it, and then I start over, and I'm like, fuck.
Are you keeping this in the video?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because some people enjoy it. They enjoy hearing the bullshit and the banter and the background nonsense, They really come for the haunt review, but, the background nonsense is kind of fun. And T and I regularly banter and say, also, he says inappropriate shit, and then I'm like, oh, God, he's going to get me fired from my job. But, anyhow, this is our review for 13th Hour in Wharton, New Jersey for the 2025 season. Yes. So 13th Hour has 3 distinct parts. They have a downstairs haunt, an upstairs haunt, and then a dark haunt. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna rewind back to the beginning. There is plenty of parking on site. It's in a big warehouse type complex. Parking is free. They also have many escape rooms on site in that big vast complex. And I will tell you, in my personal opinion, some of the best escape rooms I've ever been to. Like, just really well done, well planned out. Puzzles all make sense. They're all appropriate, right? And they're hard. They're not easy escape rooms. They're not, and when I say the puzzles make sense, they're hard, but they make sense. It's not like some of the escape rooms we've been to where it's like, find a key, and you're like, there's no hint where the key is, and we're tearing the whole fucking room apart looking for a key for 55 fucking minutes, right? That said, just extra stuff for you to do. I didn't see axe throwing on site. I thought they did have at some point, but who knows? Maybe they do. Maybe it's in a separate area. You know what? I think Brighton's is in a separate area too. I think it's indoors. Anyway, I digress. Didn't notice any games, but there are plenty of photo ops to take pictures of you with different giant monsters. There's a nice Steamboat Willie one, You can see those photos, many of the photos on the Instagram page. They also had a couple of food trucks, porta potties, which is very standard fare. Some gentleman came up and asked about a beer truck. Where's the beer truck, or where's the beer band or the beer? No, he asked for the beer stamp. Where do I get the beer stamp? Like, beer stamp? Yeah, where do I get the beer stamp? There's no beer stamp. There's no beer. It looked like his fucking life was over. Like, he looked so fucking crushed. He was like he couldn't believe like this was possible. That a place that you'd have to drive to would not be, pushing alcohol down your throat so that you could drive home intoxicated. Well, I'm sure he took an Uber, right? Anyhow, 13th Hour has been around. 13th Hour has been around for a while. I've been there many times. It was Tori's first time. We brought Tori to the northeast over here so that she could go to some of the coolest haunts, which is one of the reasons that we've revisited a lot of haunts we've done reviews for before, although we do regularly go to them. Brought her to Brighton Asylum, brought her to 13th Hour. Tonight we will be going to Reaper's Revenge. Can't wait. Very excited. That said, they offer a regular ticket. Tickets are about $50. Service fees, tax, what have you. Offer a fast pass as well, where you can skip the line. They queue you once you get up. They queue you in, and then you start with an intro, and then proceed in, and then get queued up to go through the haunt proper. Now, I was thinking of something. Line creepers. There are plenty of line creepers walking around, people in costume. Saw several of them walking around, and they do go in and out from the haunt itself, so they'll be inside and outside. There are plenty of them inside, there to scare you while you're waiting on the real line. So you have almost like a Universal Studios kind of thing, where you go in, you wait online, you go in, there's a thing, and then you go into the next line to wait for the actual thing. So the next line moves really quick, though, all indoors. They parsed us up into reasonably sized groups. And then we went through. The spacing for that haunt was about how long, you think?
I don't know.
Lucky for us, I do. So they were given about a minute of lead time between groups. They had a lot to occupy you while you were waiting, so you weren't just standing there. There was, like I said, there were line creeps going on and things, and very atmospheric, a lot of ambiance, you know. And then you go through the first floor of the haunt. Once that's done, you go up a set of stairs, still inside, and then you do the second floor, which is a completely different theme. It's themed the attic, which is kind of appropriate. A lot of it is attic themed. After that, you head down the stairs, out and into another section of the building, into the dark haunt. So what did you think of Brighton Asylum? Not Brighton Asylum, excuse me, pardon me. What did you think of 13th Hour? We just did Brighton Asylum's review. I know what you think about it.
I liked it. I thought the flow could be better.
Okay. Now, mind you, she's not being coached about the flow. We actually discussed this, and you told me that this is something that actually bothers you when things kind of, you know, you go from a section to a different section, and it doesn't flow into the next one. Like, you know, you're walking in the woods and then into a house.
They've got a theme, and they tell a story, so it should make sense as you're going through it.
Right. Well, a lot of the people that have haunts do what they do because they feel like people just want to be scared, right? And if you have different themes, if you have one concurrent theme, that could be scary. But if you have different things, you know, like a house full of cannibals, and then vampires, and another section that has pumpkins and Halloween stuff, and another section that has witches, there are more things that you can hit that will potentially scare more people, right? You can prey on more fears. What do you think?
I get that, but I think if you want to do that, you can either make multiple parts if you have the space and the ability. Make multiple parts. Or just, instead of focusing on different themes that scare people, then you can focus on smaller aspects of a theme. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I kind of get it.
Like, instead of witches, there's more things like body horror, there's other parts of things that can be tied into like an overall that I think you could touch on rather than just leaning on the theme.
Okay, I think that's fair. So while we're at it, what do you think of the costuming in 13th Hour? I thought all the costuming was really good, really appropriate makeup, right?
Yeah.
How about the actors? All the actors were into it, doing their job, trying to scare us appropriately at every turn,
Yeah.
right? Nobody was really phoning it in. Nobody's like, ooh, you know, right? And how about the set pieces and scenery?
I liked them.
Yeah.
I don't think they were like the best,
Okay.
but I liked them. I still thought they were cool.
All right. Um, was there a section you liked better than another section, like the ground floor, the attic, the dark maze?
I wasn't a big fan of the dark maze. I'm never really a big fan of them
Why?
because I keep running into walls. That's the point of it. But
Well, it is kind
I
of the
run
point
into
of it. So here's a pro tip as I smoke you out. Sorry, Kim. So here's a pro tip. Here, you hold that out over there. That way it doesn't smoke you out. When I go through a dark maze, personally, right? Usually I'm in the front of our group.
yeah, and you use the walls. You told me that.
One hand on the wall, a couple fingers, which, you know, if it's appropriately done, you're not going to get splinters.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times the wall will have different textures on it. You know, it might be like a grass kind of texture or like a bumpy texture. You know, and then one hand just out
In front of you. Yeah.
in front, and then you keep a nice slow pace, and you won't run into a wall. You'll get, if you're moving at a normal speed and you're not trying to run, your fingers are going to touch the wall.
In theory, it works,
Well,
but then I run into multiple
fact.
walls.
It works in fact. I can tell you that doing this myself, it really does work. It's not just a theory. It's not theoretical. This isn't like physics. It actually works. It's not string theory. It actually does work. You choose a moderate pace, and you have one hand. Now, the only thing that I do run into is other people in the dark that I can't see.
that was my problem with the
And
dark room.
in one place, I actually wound up with, I think, a handful of boob. I don't know whose boob it was, because whoever was in front of me had gotten turned around and was walking back the other way. And it was like, oh, sorry. And then just keep moving along, like, oh, sorry about that.
That was when, that must have been when you
No,
walked in front of me.
No, that wasn't here. That was a different.
Oh, okay.
It was not,
so
that was not that.
it did
that
happen
day.
both times, though. You managed to get in front of me.
That's because you're not.
I am.
So the only complaint I'd have about their dark maze is it's a bit. I would like it to be a bit narrower, a bit more claustrophobic. Right? It's very wide, and she does make the point, even though I don't think she knows she's making the point, that I got in front of her because it's wide enough that we could be walking next to each other, and if I'm feeling this wall and she's feeling that wall, we could pass by each other. And one of our group did wind up getting turned around because we had to wait for them at the end.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I think the set pieces are really great. I thought the set pieces on the second floor were a lot more intricate than some of the ones on the first floor. I thought the first floor there was, really intricate parts and other parts that weren't as intricate. Although I think, it's all well done. I thought it was all really great. Definitely, the second floor, I think, uses, if there is one gripe that I would have about 13th Hour, it's use of space. Because the second floor takes up about a third of the amount of space as the first floor. However, it seems just as long as the first floor. Because the space that they use, they're doing a lot more twists and turns, and the walkways are a lot more narrow. And it creates a much longer experience. So if there was one gripe that I would have, that I would say, could be improved upon, it would be, I would make the first floor narrower in a lot of the spaces where it's more more wide open. But things were changed from last season. Again, this is one of the haunts that's really good. They're good about changing things. They're good about adding and subtracting. And again, if you're going to be adding and subtracting things and changing things, it is hard to stay with one concurrent theme. Because if you stay with one solid theme, people are going to see the same things
Yeah.
over and over again if they go year to year, right? Granted, a lot of people only go to one haunt a year, and they're probably not going to meet, unless it's the one local haunt, they may not go back every year. They might, because a lot of places have repeat customers. But, so it is hard to keep a single theme through your things if you're trying to change and progress every year and get better. Again, I thought costuming was fantastic. The actors were all into it. Set pieces were really good. Not too much to see in the dark maze because it is a dark maze, but there are parts where there are things that happen and lights and plenty of sounds. The sounds were all appropriate in both haunts, I should say, because it wasn't just like blasting music. They were appropriate sounds for the areas that we were going through, and just some really cool stuff in some of them, like I don't want to. Well, it's been there for 2 seasons. So, 13th Hour had the Medusa set, where you're walking through the stone statues, and eventually it's just so really cool, really cool animatronic too.
I like these separate ideas
Mm-hmm.
that they had, but I just think when they put them together, it didn't make sense.
Okay, well, again, look at it as, it's all just stuff to try to scare you, rather than one single story. Some haunts tell a single story, some don't. Some are just there to scare you, right? The 13th Hour, the meaning of 13th Hour is like, it's like
the witching hour.
Right. So, it doesn't really give you a story, right?
Yeah.
Like Brighton Asylum, you're getting a story theme, right? You're going to Brighton Asylum. There's a theme. Some of the other haunts, there was a theme. But this is just a really good haunt. Anyhow, I like it. Exit through the gift shop. They have a really nice gift shop with a bunch of different stuff. They have shirts and pillows and stuffed animals and ornaments, which are horror ornaments for your Christmas tree or your Halloween tree. Some people do those. And yeah, that's kind of it for the review, I think. So we are at the time that everybody looks forward to, right? I'm sure all of you. Oh,
I have a comment.
she has a comment.
I think that the dark rooms, like, not specifically this one, but just in general.
Yeah, we actually had 3 haunts that we went through that had dark areas.
Yeah, and
just so people understand where
there's one tonight, right?
And that is a completely separate dark haunt. Yes.
Okay.
Some of the 2 of the other haunts we went through had dark sections, right? 2 of them had blackout sections. 13th Hour had a whole separate dark haunt, and tonight there is, unless they took it out, there is a whole separate, it's called Blackout, I believe, a whole separate dark haunt.
Yeah, but not just specifically at 13th Hour, but I think overall, even with the ones that we've been to in the past, I think there needs to be a lot more lead time between groups in the dark rooms. Because it takes longer to get through them and figure out where you're going, because you can't see.
To be fair, again, the lead time for the dark room and upstairs, the lead time was a good minute, if not more. It was a good minute for each of the haunts, because I was, this is one of the crazy things I do. I like to keep track of these things. And then the group sizes were fairly, like the dark room, we didn't need to be split up into smaller groups, because you really can't see, but we did wind up catching up to the group, but they were creeping along.
Yeah,
they could have given us 2 minutes and we still would have caught up with those people.
That's my point, though. I think overall, with dark rooms, it just takes longer for people to get through them, and because it's dark, they go really, really slowly. So I think that needs to be taken a bit more into account. And just when you make a dark room, you need to have at least a couple minutes.
Oh, that I can tell you that's probably not ever going to happen. A minute is a long time for a haunt to wait to put people through, and I can guarantee you, at Reapers, they are not even going to give us a minute. They might give us 30 seconds between groups for the dark room. We will definitely catch up with people in the dark.
But
I know.
think
I
there
understand.
needs to be more lead time.
Okay. Fair point. So, back at it to the numbers. The number game. 13th hour haunt in Wharton, New Jersey. Land of the sinkhole. The Jersey sinkhole. Which I'm glad apparently did not fuck up their business, because I'm sure it fucked up a lot of businesses, because it created a lot of problems for New Jersey. What do you think?
8.
And I am with her. Definitely a solid 8. Solid haunt. Great haunt. It's always a great haunt year after year. Steve goes above and beyond to make his haunt evolve and change. And, he does take pride in his work. Again, another really nice guy. And that's about it. And definitely check out their fucking escape rooms, because their escape rooms are top notch. And do go by what it says. If it says it's a, minimum 4-person escape room, you're probably not going to make it out in your allotted time if you have less than 4 people. Probably not. Anyhow, I'm Ant 8.0. That's Tori 8.0. And we will be on to the next.